Hello everybody, this is the Orbital Support Ship Showcase. I'm going to start with my submissions, just because mine make up the bulk of this week's submissions. These ships are large enough and complex enough that very few people felt like they wanted to actually build them, which is a little bit disappointing, but that's okay. This is the first ship I'm going to show you, and it is the Shock Dropper. This is a pocket carrier that jumps into contested space and drops off 4 pods, not included. These are just pods full of Marines or whatever, and they fall towards the surface of the planet, and the ship provides support for that. It has turrets to chase off interceptors, and it also has these long-range, ultra-heavy cannons to help soften up any ground targets that the Marines need softened. And now these are 16-inch guns. They have a very, very strong kick. They're a little overpowered, but they do have an extraordinarily long reload time, and they're quite fragile, so all in all, it balances out. The turrets are all vanilla turrets, and the bay here is designed specifically to maximize protection and minimize drift. So the center of mass is very close to here, and that means that if you are parked, it's not going to force the carrier to drift very much. It's going to keep well behaved, and therefore this carrier is quite nimble. I mean, it's a carrier, so it's not really tremendously nimble, but it's nimble enough for our purposes. The build of the carrier is not super durable, but it's durable enough that it can take some hits, especially from fighter-sized craft. It's not intended to take on other capital ships. Let's take a look at the insides. The insides are all vanilla. Oh yeah, and it has like a crap ton of laser connectors, just as many as it has dropships, for relatively obvious reasons. Anyway, this is a vanilla interior, but I still did my best to make it feel good. Got an entryway here. Everything works. So this rear chamber has a lot of view angles that you can look out and see the sky from, but it really is just a place to gather for deployment. The Marines would sit in chairs and wait for it to be the time to jump into the drop pods. Here is the main corridor, where you have the computer center, some backup piloting chairs, and some places to sleep. The whole place is stuffed full of places to sleep, since, of course, you would be dropping Marines, so you need to have a lot of places to sleep. There is a little bit of a back window, but that is dwarfed by this inverted bay window. I like this inverted bay window. I did some testing, and the way that this bay window works, I think it is substantially more durable than a flat window would be, although it's just preliminary tests. There's a medical bay, of course. And then we start to descend into the nose of the ship. This is where the bulk of our inhabitable space is. In addition to having 5 cryo chambers, we also have a bunch of refineries and arc furnaces and that sort of stuff, assemblers. So this ship is capable of providing full support if necessary. We have a vaulted roof, and the reason for that is because we needed more places for people to sleep, so here are 6 more beds. And then there's another bed on each of the wings, as you can see. So this place is stuffed full of places to sleep. Down here is our primary bridge, and it has several command systems which just keep monitoring what's going on at all times. Plenty of chairs to sit in. Now this is a pretty simple setup. It doesn't have any of the complexity that you'll see in the Visalda, but as you can see, it works just fine. Now it is a carrier, so it's not the most nimble of creations, but it is nimble enough for our purposes. To show you the power of these cannons, I'm going to go ahead and fire a salvo. I also have it set up so I can fire it on a timer, you know, boom, 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 rather than all at once. But for now, we're just going to shoot them all at once. Now that was all heavy armor, and you can see that it really punched quite a few holes in it. Let's exit this ship and pop on over to the Visalda. So this is the Visalda. The Visalda is what I would like to call technically vanilla. While you could never create it in the game editor legally, you can still print it using blueprints or even constructing it from a holographic projector. So it is fully compatible with vanilla, even though it is technically cheating. The idea of the Visalda is that it orbits a planet, and it can mine a planet's surface from orbit. It does this by using a 15,000 meter range on its gravity generators. It uses a mining probe, which you just drop and let run. The mining probe works because I am using the merge block cheat, which is when you use a programming block to remember a block that's no longer attached. So once this is detached, you can still access all of the various blocks on it without having to remote control it, so it's not limited in its range, and it can be real cheap. This ship is definitely completely civilian. There's no weapons on it at all. It does come with a welding vessel because you'll want to be able to build stuff. Both you want to be able to build more drones, more mining drones, and you also want to be able to build other things because obviously you're mining for a reason. You're trying to set something up. So the way this ship works has a whole video dedicated to it, and you can go ahead and see that video. I've left a link down below. But I'm going to go ahead and show you the basic idea. You enter in through this airlock here. No, bonk. Hopefully without slamming your face into the wall so hard that you die. And then you have this wide open interior space. There's enough room for about 10 crew. And there are 6 cryo bays, a medical bay, a repair projector, and so on and so forth. If we go down here, we can see that the crew have relatively nice place to live for vanilla. They even have a bathroom. That down there is a bathroom. But what we're looking for is down at the nose. This is the command area. Obviously, this ship is stuffed to the gills with assemblers and refineries and stuff. But this is a very, very crowded room. This chair is for piloting the Visalda in normal operations, and for making sure that you've got your engine set up with enough downwards thrust on override to keep you afloat at the same height. You don't want to accidentally fall to the planet while you're trying to mine. We've got our ship status. This is active and will certainly keep track of everything that needs to be kept track of. This is the description on how to use the mining drone, and this is where you would sit to actually use it. And you can see that it says mining drone attached, camera view, launch mining vessel. We're going to go ahead and just launch it, but we're not going to bother to do stuff with it, just because it takes too long, and you can watch the other video for that. I wanted to show you this disconnect cheat. So once I've launched the mining vessel, it'll detach, and you can see that I'm at 2 meters range and operating normally. If I back up, that range will slowly increase. Now you want to be a little bit careful not to accidentally let the drone move too fast, and right now I have it set to a pretty low refresh rate. You can set it to any refresh you'd like. One of the things that I do here is you turn the gravity on like this, and you notice that I've set up this command area such that it works fine regardless of which gravity you've got on. If you've got the mining gravity on, then this is obviously the seat you'd go to, but you can still get in that one, and vice versa. The only problem I have is that it's a little bit hard to hit these buttons. That's okay though. So those are the 2 ships I built. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you the ships other people built. So this is Matt Worst's Hydra. This is a fun little assault vehicle that can act as 1 or split into 5. All of these ships act in concert when they're connected by merge blocks, but obviously they can be controlled independently when it's time for them to fight independently. I don't believe there are any ship automation systems in these outliers, in these 4 ships that came apart, but they should be able to be controlled via remote control. This is Rebut's ship he created. It's called the Saber, and he wanted to show it off. I'm not sure how much it is in terms of orbital support vehicle, but it is a cute little racer that uses mostly batteries. These batteries are my X-Par batteries rather than vanilla batteries, but they're roughly comparable in terms of size and weight. These are smaller batteries, so they have a smaller output and a smaller storage. Shall we see if it fits? Let's see if it can fit. It's not the right shape for a dropship, though. Dropships are not supposed to be long and flat. Well, it fits all right, but we'd never managed to fit 4 in here. 2 is enough, I think. So Rebut built an orbital ship as well. It's intended to land on 1G planets and help you to set up a base. Let's take a little bit of a tour and see what we can see. I see a lot of docking positions. That's actually pretty well set up. I kind of like that. Here is a docking platform that doesn't have any connectors. These observatories, medical bay, command room. So now that we're on the inside, we can see how he's built it. He's got these observation wings. These are things I always want to put in, but I can never figure out how to do it without using up too much space. Refineries and assemblers. Lots of interior turrets. It's always interesting, the difference between how other people build things and how I build them. Because I would never even think of just having a big room with a refinery in it. That's just not how I roll. Shall we go upstairs? Let's go upstairs and see what happens. Yep. So this is a very common bug now. Space Engineers has recently had an update which makes elevators not work right. So we'll just fly up. Here's the medical room. Another turret. And here is the primary control chamber. As you can see, it's intended to land safely on the ground, and then this leg here serves as a ladder, a makeshift ladder to get in and out. And here's a showcase of Rebut's small ships. So I figured I'd compare and contrast my drop base to Rebut's, just to show you our different design styles. So Rebut's has some mods in it and mine doesn't, but putting that aside, you can see that we have a very, very different approach. His approach is more spaceship-like, with lots of projections and things that look cool, like engine nacelles and legs and stuff. And mine is basically just a big flat car. Also, while Rebut built his specifically to support flying vehicles, for me, I think that land vehicles are very important on planets, so I've been very careful to make sure that all of my landing bases support, vehicles with wheels. My interiors also usually have some kind of inhabitable area. And in this case, it's a little bit Spartan, but you can see that I spend a lot of space on role-playing gear, chairs and beds and stuff like that, even if it's just kind of the impression of a bed. And if we go up here, I have even more role-play furniture, including a bathroom. I think that he's trying to land the javelin on its tail. Well, next week is the last episode of Fleetbreakers, and I figured I should go out with my forte, which is coding. So I will be teaching you how to do things using the programming block. I'll be teaching you how to use a version of Mimir that does not require you to do any coding, and that'll be good for those of you with a phobia of coding. But if you're not scared to try and learn how to code, I'll also be releasing a world that guides you on the basics of how to code, starting with Mimir and then moving into raw coding at the end. Those should be pretty fun, and I hope you look forward to it. I don't think that you'll need to actually know how to do any coding, so if you have been worried about stepping into coding, this might be a decent time to try and learn. Plus, it is my last episode, so it would be great if people showed up and, learn stuff and blew stuff up and whatever. Have fun.